But someone like a Future can't just go dating across a multitude of women. And I'm not talking about his celebrity. I'm talking about his archetype.
What is his archetype?
He's a nigga. That's his archetype. Just talk to people who don't look like you. The women, even when they talk about men, they typically talk about, yeah, he may have an attractive level, but then it go deeper than that. But then you talk to our women, it is only, oh, Future, yeah, he can get it. And then it's like, that's it. Like, it's Pookie-like behavior, yo. I just don't understand.
Yeah, but you're looking at it from the angle of his.
True. If you took Russell Wilson, right, and you mixed his values and characteristics and put him in Stefon Diggs, do you think Stefon Diggs would be women's first choice?
No. We talking women, all women? No.
No, the vast majority of women, 95%. So you think if you mixed Russell Wilson's values, right, Christian man, all of these type of things, and you mixed it with like a cool guy who's, he's attractive, he's in shape, he knows how to dress, he's fun. If you mix those two things, you think that women wouldn't go for that because they prefer? You think women wouldn't go for that?
I think women typically are more reflective than we want to give them credit for. And because most women are not cool and swaggy and stand out like that, you use the example of the upper echelons of women will go for those guys. Again, you're isolating a small pool. I just don't see that to be true, man. Like watching women and what they pick, they're with regular dudes more often than not. This is just what it is.
So my
they with them because
I think regular women are with regular dudes because that's what they qualify for. They don't want to end up like a single mom because of the characteristics and the values of the Future. They don't want they're making a smart decision.
So you're proving
hold on, that goes to true point.
But look, no, because I gotta finish though. No, I gotta finish it. Look now, but if they took and they removed those characteristics and values from that Future and they switched it with Russell Wilson's, hell fucking yeah, they would love that. Bo will tell you that because Bo told us about, when she was younger, she used to go for guys like that. And if Bo dated that guy when she was younger, but his values were Russell Wilson's values, Bo would be married and snatched up right now to that same guy.
That's so all right. To bring the point back,
what did Russell Williams value? You said Russell Wilson's values.
Yeah.
Or are you talking about his spiritual, religious values?
All of that. So he's a family man. He's not really he's not. You don't see him liking girls' pictures. We don't really see him.
How do you know that Bo haven't run into a man who dealt with a man who wasn't liking pictures?
Oh, I never said that. No,
you said the type of guy that Russell Wilson is. How do you even know Russell Wilson ain't liking nobody pictures?
No. So all right. Let's
show you a picture. I can show you a picture of my wife at 22. Russell Wilson. Let's at
least clear up what I said. All right. So I said that if Bo, the guy that Bo dated when she was younger, that she wanted for superficial reasons, right? If you took him and you added the values of Russell Wilson, I think they would be still together today. That's what I was saying. And you're saying that what are the values of Russell Wilson and how do I know him? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying
he was trying to
I'm saying perhaps maybe Bo did run into a guy that had actually married a guy that had Russell Williams values.
With everything else that the women are looking for, like the height and all the things and the money and everything.
I don't know what the height and the money look like, but we're talking about his values.
Well, that's the distinction. So my point was, if you took a Future-like figure, right? Let's say a professional athlete, and you mixed him.
Well, if you add the money, the income from a professional athlete, all of them are gone.
Yeah,
it's not just a Bo. All of them are going. Fuck the values. It's the lifestyle. Why are we playing around?
Well, that's contrary to what True was saying. So True's point is that women actually give them more credit that they do want character and they do look for character and these other type of things.
We're not saying that they don't look for character. Don't get it twisted. But we're not making it seem like they're gonna absolve the whole relationship if they don't have character. If they, let's say they showing up in the income level, they have the money. They would take a hit. They would take a hit on the character.
Yeah, I would say that because I think
What?
that
True, you
sometimes
saying they won't?
I think that we're conflating things. My overarching point was that and we do this a lot, and it's great. We can rock with it. Future is not he's not cross applicable. We talking about women. We're not just talking about black women. We're talking about women because both Mont said America, and America is not dominated by us. And this is why I say it's hard, in my opinion, to have these conversations sometimes because our exposure level is very limited. All you got to do is observe people who hook up and who end up in relationships and talk to women from the time they're 18 to 30. Like that's why I'm saying I know good women that they wouldn't even bother. A dude like a Future could try his
I
best.
see what you did. You took your anecdotal experience, the proximity of people that you are able to run into, and you extrapolated that and generalized that on most women. Where I think me and Mon are having a different argument than you. You're talking about your experience of what you are able to connect with or approximate to as far as people in your surroundings versus the general consensus of how women operate.
I'm looking at the general consensus of how women operate.
You just said all you had to do was go around these people. That's an anecdote.
I'm saying collecting data. Yes, some people do need anecdotal.
So you want me and Mont to go out here and go around people to collect that data to substantiate that most women are not going to choose a nigga for his bag.
No, you're having a different argument.
No, that's not the
I never
argument.
said anything about money. I never said anything about money. Like not once, actually.
You don't know that you're not saying anything about money. When you mentioned pro athlete, then you
I didn't mention pro athlete. Mont mentioned pro athlete. I never did that.
I'm
very consistent in what I'm saying. What I'm saying, I'm going to reiterate it again if my mic is not coming through clear, right? Most women that are good and decent, that are in healthy environments, that unfortunately a lot of us don't seem to be able to interact with because of our proximity and anecdotal experience, would not bother with the Future. He wouldn't even show up on their radar. But this is contrary to what most of we think because we just assume that that's we going like because the women we interact with.
Yeah, you said most women who are good and decent. But then you gotta now we gotta look at how many number of those of women period are actually good.
No, we don't have to look at that.
He asked me that already. He said about 55% of the
what? That's critical. You said 55% of women are good and decent.
This whole conversation is this. You're basing it off who they end up with in the end versus who that they went for in the beginning. And the person they went for in the beginning is usually who they actually wanted and then realized it was not sustainable, was my point. And he was saying if you throw in the sustainability of the person they actually wanted, never would break up. So it may seem like all the women I know, this good women end up with this caliber, this type of man, but really they actually was creeping or wanted something else, but realized, you know what? It's no longevity in this for me. But that don't mean that's not what she wanted. That's just what she had to settle for.
But did y'all come to a consensus prior to me coming here saying that most women, 50% or whatever number it is, are good and
So Darwin, this is what I asked True. I asked him because he said that he thinks that I asked him, I said, so out of all of the families in America, the fathers in America, what percentage of fathers do you think have such a handle on their family that they're controlling who their daughter brings home or not? And he said about 55% of those families and fathers, whatever, he thinks have the type of control that if their daughter brings home a man that he don't like, he'd be like, yo, no, he not the one. And she'll
give more context though. What else did I back it with? I also backed it with the fact that most marriages that do happen, people spend about 35, 40,000 on average. So if we just take that number and that's that, how is that happen? How is that happening frequently without that also 55% maybe possibly being more consistent than inconsistent?
I get what y'all did, but the numbers is really fucked up because you're talking about 50% of the 50% of fathers that are actually in the life. So, like, for example, if let's just say in a specific demographic, only 20% of the fathers are present, you're talking about 50% of the 20%.
What demographic? Because you have to be very specific.
That's just an example. It's not anything truth coming from it, but for example, this is just an example of how the numbers are fucked up. Because and then you made another statement. You said of the good of the women that are good and obedient or whatever word you said. We have to first fixate on that number. How many out of all the women, if you want to look at all the women in the West, and if you want to look at the Western population, on a percent or from 0 to 10, how many of those women are actually good and decent?
I don't know many fathers that are raising their daughters that are allowing just any man to come into their life and him supporting their relationship.
We could say that we can just hypothetically say 100% of fathers are not raising them, but that still is, the numbers are still wrong, because how many fathers are actually raising their daughter?
That's not my argument, though, Darwin. My argument, again, I don't know,
because what I'm saying is it wouldn't even matter if 10% of the fathers are raising their daughters 100% of the time to make a optimal selective choice, but that little 10% is a drop in the bucket, so it wouldn't even matter on a grand scale of things. You get what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying. I just don't think that we're having the same discussion. My overarching point was that, again, I'm gonna say this one more time. Sometimes when I'm on these panels and I even listen, brothers have a very skewed perspective of what happens in the real world. And I think that we think that we're very applicable across demographic. Most brothers can't even date out of the community if they're not developed, or they're not, they don't have a wide perspective, which is the reason why they typically, if you look at the track record of whom they date, those women are consistently the same in development or lack thereof. So I'm saying that, I know it may sound foreign, but someone like a Future can't just go dating across a multitude of women. And I'm not talking about his celebrity. I'm talking about his archetype.
What is his archetype?
He's a nigga. That's his archetype.
Is that how you define an archetype?
No, but we define it. No, true. That's where you might be. We define his archetype as the cool, swagged out version, with whatever ethnicity that is. So that's the popping white dude, the popping Asian dude, the popping Hispanic dude, the dude that's gonna have a multitude of women and probably dated a large percentage of the girls that he wanted to. And we're saying the university that carries the trait.
Would you say that a Brad Pitt is like a Future?
Yes. That would be a white version of that.
Okay.
So you're talking about the charisma, the charm, all that stuff, minus the bag. You're being able to accrue options consistently across all races. You don't think Future can do that?
No. No, I do not. That's not at all. And that's why it's interesting, because you can't name the equivalent cool guy who's Asian and outside of Brad Pitt. Maybe I don't think Brad Pitt and Future are alike. They're celebrities, so we know them. That's why I'm using them as an example. But that's what I'm saying. We make it seem like a Future and then Russell Wilson, very different archetypes. That's normal across all metrics. That's not normal across all metrics. I mean, just talk to people who don't look like you. The women, even when they talk about men, they typically talk about, yeah, he may have an attractive level, but then it go deeper than that. But then you talk to our women, it is only, oh, Future, yeah, he can get it. And then it's like, that's it. Like, it's Pookie-like behavior, yo. I just don't understand.
Yeah, but you're looking at it from the angle of his current known status, his current known behavior, and all that stuff. You're evaluating it from something that's already predisposed to these women.
Stephon Diggs has 4 women pregnant right now. Do you see this occurring outside of maybe like an Elon Musk? And he's, again, a drastic exception. Do you see this happening and frequent with other men that don't look like us?
I think they don't get caught. I think they have side babies that we don't hear about. When they do get caught, because they be having morality clauses. And you seen the CEO that got fired for cheating with his secretary or whatever woman. They found him. Then Bill Gates left his wife and ended up marrying a woman that was in the cup. Like, I think those things happen, but they don't front page the ratchetness, because a lot of that stuff it reflects poorly on the business to have certain dynamics going on at a workplace. It speaks to your character morale when you need people to trust you in certain ways. But those things are happening. I just think they sweep them under the rug, and they have fixers, people that do PR to manage those. You know what I'm saying?
I want to ask Pearl a quick question. Pearl, What man are you most attracted to? If you can give me a name, who do you think? Who's you most attracted to? Give me a celebrity, whoever.
Spencer of Criminal Minds. Nah, that's who I like.
Naomi. Who are you most attracted to? If you can tell me, like, who do you think is like there's the most, not somebody that you got to date, but just say if somebody just asked you like, yo, give me the guy that you find most attractive, who would you say? You're on mute, by the way, too.
I would say Shamar Moore.
Shamar Moore. Okay. If you could get Shamar Moore and you could mix him with whoever, if you could take Shamar Moore, would you change his values up at all?
No.
You think he has good values?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
How you don't know about what she think?
No, I'm not saying what I'm not telling her about what she think. I'm telling her I don't know about his values. She said she think he got good values.
What did she think?
Yeah. So I'm not telling about what she think, but I'm saying I don't know about his values.
So what would you say?
It doesn't matter for you because it's for a woman.
I'm just telling her what I think.
No. What would you say is not a good value about him?
He just come off a little freaky.
Yeah. Do you know? Do you know what he's done?
Where's this conversation going?
He gyrated a lot.
No. Do you know what he's done in his community?
What he's done in the community?
Yeah, like and things that he's done outside of the roles that he plays in the public, outside of all of those things. But do you know everything else that he does outside of just acting?
No, I'm pretty sure he does a lot in the community. I think most people who are well off, whether they have good character or not, are going to do a lot in the community. It's just a part of the game.
He's actually a really great guy, and he's kind. Like
you
in person, he's kind. He's genuine and kind.
You know him personally, or you met him?
I've met him. You've
met him. So was it a meet and greet or?
No, it wasn't a meet and greet.
You just kind of met him in passing.
Sort of.
And you think that you meeting him in passing and him giving you a nice impression, you just makes him a good guy?
I know other people around him as well that have met him.
Okay. Bo, it's your turn, Bo. Real quick, it's your turn, Bo. Who do you find most attractive?
What's the point, though?
Don't judge me. Most deaf.
He cool. Yeah, I think he cool as far as his character. He seems chill.
You making a conversation isolated to you and the women. Like, where's the direction?
Are you asking a genuine question? You gonna allow me to answer it? Are you asking me a genuine question, are you asking me a genuine question, and two, are you going to allow me to answer without interrupting me?
Did I interrupt you?
It's rude to ask a question after somebody asks a question.
It's rude to ask a question and not get an answer either.
Touche. Are you going to allow me to answer the question?
Am I impeding you from answering the question?
Yes. To answer your question, you have cut me off already. Okay, I'm going to take your silence as you agreeing. Okay, so what I was doing there in that exercise was I believe that if these women could pick who they find most attractive, and I think they all played it safe because they knew what I was doing. So cool, it's cool though. If they could pick who they find most attractive and take that man and then interject the values of somebody else, let's say like Russell Wilson or whoever they believe to be a good man, I think they would do it in a heartbeat. Because attraction matters to people. Attraction matters to human beings, whether they like to say it or not. If they could choose a taller guy, most women would choose a taller guy. If they could choose a guy who has the type of muscles that they like, they would choose that. You know, if they like a guy with tattoos, they would throw that on them too. If they could pick the perfect guy and mold him, they would pick the guy that looks like Stephon Diggs, that looks like whoever they find attractive, and they would throw the values that they want inside of him, and they would live happily ever after.
May I? Can I say something to this?
Hold on one thing.
Do you realize
any of these? Hang on, real quick. Did any of these women that you asked who they attracted to? Did they throw another man's value into it?
I didn't ask them to. No, they didn't.
So your test failed.
I don't think you're understanding what I tried to do.
You said if you can ask a question for these women to pick the man they're attracted to and put another man's value into it, they would. And I'm asking you, did they do that? And you said they didn't.
I didn't ask him to do that.
Well, what's the point of saying you're making a point that any woman who can pick the man based on his charm and attraction and throw the values of another man onto him, they would do it. And then you ran a test to see if the women would do it, and they didn't do it.
Oh, I wanted them to give me an archetype, and then I was going to ask them a secondary question, but I didn't get to that with most of them.